I think we have to all come to an understanding as human beings that there's really nothing expected of you. You can wake up every day, not do anything, and 70 years pass and you die. I think the point of life is to, get up every morning and live a day and live a life that when you get down 70, 80 years and 90 years down the line, you look back and you said, I did something. Like, I'm going to miss this.
Hi, my name is Nick. I go to the Ju Jitsu gym with Nathan, and I'm 34 years old.
All right. And Nick, can you tell us how is your life meaningful and what makes it worth living?
I would say the big thing for me is giving to others. I've been doing a lot of just making things, giving things, selling things, just gifting things to others, and finding a challenge that you can do frequently and that keeps pushing you to find something you're passionate about. That's kind of changed throughout my life, and I've really settled in on Ju Jitsu in the last couple of years. I think something that's really important is not taking yourself or your endeavors too seriously. I've always told myself, especially in Jiu-Jitsu, I was like, my 3 priorities in Jiu-Jitsu have always been come in, be a good training partner, have fun, and then last is get better at Jiu-Jitsu. And it's like, something like being a good training partner applies to life a lot, I think. Like I said, I reach out to my friends constantly, and that's something I pride myself on. Just kind of being someone to initiate communication, being someone that's forthright and loyal to my friends and family too.
Jiu-Jitsu is a sport that challenges me and helps me become a better problem solver because life brings a lot of problems.
Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, everyone. This year has been a challenging experience for many people. Personally, I like to use this time every year to reflect on lots of different things, usually in order to gain a deeper perspective or gratitude about the events of the year, along with constructing a personal story or journey to provide joy, hope, or resilience moving forward. I hope that no matter your personal circumstances, plans for the holidays, or events of the past year, that you will experience some joy and fulfillment by taking some time to take care of yourself, connect with those around you, and gain some clarity about the ups and downs of this year, or maybe the things you want to focus on in the coming year. Ironically, even though this episode is all about the interviews from my fellow Jiu-Jitsu practitioners, I've encountered a recent problem in Croatia. All the gyms are closed because of new restrictions related to COVID. It's extremely unfortunate, but I will just have to make the best of these circumstances. As Alan Watts would say, what appears to be conflict at one level is harmony at another. In the meantime, please enjoy this episode, and I hope it will spark your interest in learning more about the amazing art of Jiu-Jitsu. It certainly is a pleasure to share a window into what has become the most important aspect of my lifestyle, creativity and self-expression. And I hope one day my career and life's work in general. Today, you'll be hearing from my Jiu-Jitsu coach and mentor, Professor Kenneth Brown, who is the owner of Second Gear in Laurel, Maryland. Kenneth has been instrumental in reinvigorating a stronger and more dedicated personal interest in the art, developing much of both my foundational skills and advanced techniques, and inspiring me to pursue long-term training, teaching, and other goals related to Jiu-Jitsu. If you live somewhere close enough in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, then I highly recommend you give Second Gear a try, and consider adopting it as your headquarters for Jiu-Jitsu or mixed martial arts. This episode also features an interview from Peter, a friend and teammate who I spent a lot of time training with while I was home. Peter is also a traveler like me, and has had the unique experience of being a bit of a Jiu-Jitsu globetrotter and training in many different places. I'm excited to share their perspectives about these topics and their journeys with the art of Jiu-Jitsu.
Jiu-Jitsu black belt, very focused on his art, and academy owner, and that's how I live. really focus on self-improvement, both physically and mentally, in all aspects possible. You know? That's kind of how I think about myself. So of course I have my objectives when it comes to the academy and also my personal martial art journey. It's a very big thing for me. A few years ago, I wrote down like over 100 like things I wanted to accomplish in my life, and one of them was that I wanted to produce over 50 black belts. Right. So when you say produce, it means that you teach people in such a meaningful and effective way that they're able to rise to that level of skill. And at this point, like I've been teaching full time for about 5 years now, and I have not yet gone to my first black belt. So I have a lot of work to do, both as an instructor and also like this time spent with students. But I believe it will be very meaningful for me when I reach that point of promoting my 50th black belt. And I think it's going to also be part of the impact I have towards the art that I love. So that's one aspect, and you can also put that in the framework of like legacy. Yeah. I want to create a legacy in this art as an instructor. Then you also, I'm a father. I have a child. I have a baby. Of course, I want her to grow up healthy, happy, and successful in what she wants to achieve. This also goes into the aspect of legacy, right? I believe it's meaningful that I am doing everything I can to be the best dad I can be, right? And if you think about what do I think about like living a meaningful life? I think it's just living a life without regrets. Finding things that you want to achieve and then pursuing it with all your energy, all your focus, and not letting anyone or anything like stop you from moving forward. Obviously, there's differences because, like you say, who decides that they want to teach martial arts full time? Like, when it comes to like fatherhood, of course, like that's more, like, you'll probably find more similarities with people and like culturally. But even then, like, I think like you can't look at culture as being the guiding light for your purpose or your actions, right? Because like culture can be very detrimental. Like I'll look at like, I'll give you an example. I was born in Cherry Hill in like the Baltimore area. Cherry Hill is not considered a good place to be born. It's I would say it's relatively crime ridden, and if I had stayed there, I probably would be a different person now. But even if I had stayed there, like it wouldn't have been to my benefit to like embrace the culture in its fullest form. Right? And even now, like the places I've grown up in, like I'm different than a lot of people because I didn't accept culture as being my guiding light. Even like that's not all negative, but like culture can't dictate yourself. Like as far as what drives you, what you're interested in, what you pursue in life. It can't limit you. At least that's how I look at it. When I look at the idea of purpose, I look at it vision. What do you want to achieve?
That was
right.
I was
So
gonna also ask, what is your vision?
I mean, it comes back to like what we talked about like earlier when we were talking about meaningful life. Like I'm driven by certain objectives I want to achieve, of course, and when it comes to like teaching and running an academy, is that producing 50 black belts in my lifetime, giving back to the culture, like creating a legacy in the art. It is what motivates me like every day to try to be better at what I do. both as, and it's also one of the reasons why I still compete because I'm still trying to learn the game. I'm still trying to get a better understanding of the art, just so I can teach more effectively. And if I can teach more effectively, it means that I speed up the time it takes me for when it comes to educating students to become the best they can be. Right? So I feel like as I feel driven to become better at everything I do so I can have a greater impact in the areas that I want to have impact. So that's what I would say my purpose or vision for the future would be, mainly when it comes to like aspects of my life that aren't family. You know? But I also feel like you shouldn't have like one purpose in life. Like you should have some diversity of interests and just be willing to like really pursue them with your whole being. You know? And again, don't live with regrets. You know, don't hold yourself back. Yeah. It's interesting because like in some ways like I'm currently living the dream. You know, because like when I decided to be a full-time instructor, I was so far away from running an academy. Um, and I kind of like threw myself like off the cliff in some way and burned my boat. You know, kind of the mix-up of knowledges. Because like I was working full time in IT. I had a relatively good job. Like I kind of went into like I guess a full time career after college, and I was doing pretty well there. But like I was finding that it was becoming harder and harder for me to train, and I was kind of being somewhat drawn into the culture of the work environment. So in the sense that like I was kind of like eating out lunch with like a lot of my coworkers.
Yeah.
Like we'd go out to a restaurant and then you order the food and you find yourself eating stuff you shouldn't eat. And like I found that like over time I looked at the scale and my weight was going back up. And for me that was very significant because like I had come down from such a high weight. Because like when I was 18, I was 392 pounds, and like that was a shock to my system when I saw it, and that's when I started like really starting to think about my health, and that's when I stopped drinking sugar drinks, because that was one of the main reasons why I was so heavy at that time. I used to drink a lot of like this pure sugar, like Kool-Aid and like orange juice, gallons of it, like, and my body wasn't like in that zone where it could just deal with all that sugar. So I started drinking water when I was 18. I started trying to be more active. The weight came down, and then when I started training, I was 340, and then the weight came consistently down. And so one of my, I guess, drives is not to ever be that heavy again. You know? So when I saw the weight going back up, it was a shock to my system, and that's why one of the reasons why I made that choice to say, I'm going to take the risk to focus full time on this art, right? And it was also around that time when I wrote out those 100 like goals for my life, which I wish I still had that book. I lost it. It would have been interesting to look back at it, but I still remember the 50 like black belts. And I would say, you know, you just have to pursue what you want in life. And I feel like I made that choice, and I have no regrets about it. And then I look at like outside of the gym and say, man, like I have a daughter, she's growing up, and I'm so interested in how she's gonna grow up. So that's really what it's about, being happy about where you're going in life, and just keep pursuing things that make you happy. Oh man, I haven't really thought about it, but it's a great question because like core values kind of guide your actions. If I thought about it on the fly right now, like one of the things is always to be improving. So like I know, they have that idea of Kaizen. Kaizen, incremental improvement every day, roughly, if I remember it correctly. I think that's really big. Like one of the things I really kind of internalize is the idea that when you do something, you should try to get any improvement possible, right? Even if it's like 1% or less than 1%. Like you show up to a class, like you just try to learn one piece or like make one improvement or make some incremental like step forward, right? And if you're making these constant like improvements to yourself, your knowledge, your skill set, over time it adds up. So that would be one of my principles, and I kind of live that because I'm always doing something to get better every day, in some fashion. Studying different things, trying to increase my knowledge, playing with like ideas, like projects, thinking about how to teach better, exploring different possibilities, watching matches, and it's a constant thing you have to do, and it has to be a part of your being, because otherwise you'll find yourself not moving forward. Right? So that's one. Another is connected to it in the sense that one of my core beliefs is that there's no such thing as staying still. So we either move forward or we move back, in anything we do. So like if you have a goal and you're not moving on it, you're not like advancing on it, you're moving away from it. Just because like time is constantly ticking. Like even now, man, I'm 38 now. Like time is ticking. Like I'm probably going to get less and less effective at the physical things I do as I get older. So if I wait to accomplish things that require physical like skill sets, it's going to be harder in the future. Yeah. Just as an example. So time is always ticking, and you either move forward or you move back. You can't stay still in anything. So that would be two core like beliefs, or core beliefs, I guess you could say. Sure, consistency, effort, persistence, being willing to continue to strive to achieve what you want to achieve, even if it might not seem that you're going to succeed right away. I'll give you an example. Like I said, when I started, teaching full time, I was so far away from having an academy, and it took me more than 2 years to get to this point that I was able to open up the academy. And like, who would have foresaw the circumstances that happened that kind of able to happen? I couldn't have predicted when I made the decision to just kind of focus on teaching full time. But things kind of fell into place because I was persistent and I kept focused. I never thought about doing something else. So persistence and consistency probably falls into that same category. But I think of them as separate, because like I feel like consistency is something you do internally, and persistence is something you do against external factors. And of course, like I feel like one of the things that kind of something I'm working on, I'm trying to kind of incorporate more into my being, is compassion. Just because like I am naturally an introvert, and sometimes I can be very internally focused. But I also appreciate the fact that like you can accomplish so much more when you have a community and you create connections. And like one of the things I'm consistently trying to create here is a stronger community. And to kind of build on that continually, you have to be somewhat empathic and like start to care about your students. You know, and I consider that to be important. That's one of the reasons why I try to greet people when they come in. I try to like help people whenever I can, because I want to create the best community possible here. I want to create an environment where people come in and they're like, man, this made my day feel so much better. Like this was what I needed. Like this took some load off my shoulder, like stress off my back. So that's one of the things I want to be better at. You know, so that would probably be the sum of it right now. Okay. At least maybe I have to think deeper about this in the future.
Okay, hi, my name is Peter. I'm 54 years old. I'm a professor at the University of Maryland. I teach chemical engineering. My background is quite unique. I was born in Switzerland and raised in Greece. My mother would talk to me in French, my father in Greek, so I grew up bilingual in French and Greek, and English was my third language, actually. And I also speak Spanish and German. So it may be a not answer, but I do like my work. You know, it takes up most of my day, right? So enjoying your work life is very important. My personal life, you know, I recently discovered Ju Jitsu 2 years ago, and that's really meaningful for me. You know, that's really has transformed me and the way I see things, and so that has been a new experience for me. Besides family and friends, you know, I think Ju Jitsu is a new thing that I really like.
Yeah. How is Ju Jitsu meaningful specifically?
So I'm not really that athletic. I never was athletic and did anything. And then 2 years ago, you know, I decided to start Ju Jitsu, you know, out of the blue. You know, it wasn't really out of the blue. You know, my mother passed away, so I had to do something different, you know, and then I wanted to do something besides just lifting weights or doing, you know, some silly things. And then I came in here once, and I really enjoyed it. Yeah, my purpose is, you know, I just want to be happy, and I want to be happy from small things, you know, that, you know, I enjoyed my day today, you know, and this really brings me happiness rather than say, I want a lot of money, you know, I want to be super rich or whatever. I really like to enjoy small things.
Okay. What are some of those small things? As an example?
You know, a good meal, a good conversation, you know, something, you know, you meet something and you find love, or you find, you know, something, not just personal love, but also, you know, from friends and family, and something happens to you, you know. Also, because of my work, you know, I interact with a lot of people. I teach, right? So teaching and giving to someone knowledge and understanding that that person has learned something from what I taught them, I think that gives me happiness. So I do definitely value honesty. I value people to be open and not be pretentious. You know, I really do not like pretentious people.
Yeah.
So I come from a culture, you know, which is more, you know, European culture is more direct. You know, you say what you feel basically, and you're not really making up stuff just to be nice. So I do like the kind of people who are direct and I know how they feel, and, you know, they express their feelings. So
Yeah.
I really like that. Hard work is really important, right? I think people who work hard will succeed, right? So it's really hard work. That you don't really need to have the skill. I think, you know, I don't consider myself, you know, really athletic, but I'm putting a lot of work, you know, doing Ju Jitsu, for example, and I think I'm getting better, and that's definitely not at the same level as a young person, but, you know, I'm definitely bettering myself.
Yes.
You need to have some kind of selflessness, I think. You know, that's very important in a character, right? If you want to help others, you know, so that has been guiding me lately, right? Because of my Also, I have an administrative position. I'm in charge of a lot of people, and the only reward I have is, if I see them succeed, and I get happiness from other people succeeding because I did something to help them. You have life experiences, right? And you get to interact with people, and you see how other people act, and the actions of other people, they inspire you. So I think people do evolve in their character, right? So I used to get more angry sometimes at people because people do stuff to me, but now I'm able to control that and try to find something good and try to resolve a situation that way. So, I came in this country when I was 18 years old. I didn't have anyone here, right? And then my father passed away when I was a freshman here at the university, so that was pretty tough for me. That's, something that I overcame. I became more mature early, I guess, because, I had no support. I thought, when you lose a parent, right, and also your father figure who was the main breadwinner in the family, that's important. You have to figure out on your own, and also being in a foreign country on your own, that's not easy. So I think I was more reserved of a person, and now I'm less reserved as a person. I think as I've grown, and it's the reason because I interact with many more people. So I'm in charge of a group of, I'm the boss of like 500 people. It's faculty, staff, and student, right? So I have to be more open and talking to people. I wasn't like that. Yeah. That has really changed. Sometimes this is bad, because people know how I feel. Sometimes it's hard for me to hide my feelings. So it can be bad. Yeah. Some people know how to hide their feelings. I can't. Yeah. If I'm mad at you, you'll know about it. I've learned to control my emotions over the time, and maybe I get sad for like a day, or if I'm mad at someone, I'm mad for like 24 hours max, and then I'm okay. I find ways to deal with that, and I always want to be in good terms with people, even at people that I don't necessarily like that much. I'd like to be in good terms. I do try to do that.
Yeah. Okay. And that helps you, like even when things are overwhelming.
Yeah. So when things are overwhelming, I've noticed, it doesn't take me too long to get over it. I've learned how to do that. I had several experiences, like that, and I've been able to deal with that. Okay. I think by having my father pass away at when I was relatively young, and he had like a disease. He had leukemia, so he was really long disease, right? And then I realized to become more. I had to become more mature, Until then, I didn't care much about things. I think we're in the middle of a pandemic, right? And I practice Ju Jitsu. I think that's that's a big thing. Despite everybody telling me, oh, you shouldn't be doing this. You should be not touching people, not interacting with people. Yeah. I think my mental health really has improved just by me showing up here. Yeah. One thing I did, during the pandemic, I kept my routine. Although everything was shut down, I did go to work. I did go to my office. Yeah. And came here to train, despite everything being closed. So I did, the daily things I do. Yeah. I think that kept me sane. If I was just staying at home, it wouldn't be the same for sure.
Yeah. How is routine important to you? As a follow-up question, it's kind of important to me too. So.
Yeah. I think routines. You also like what you do, I guess, right? Every day. If you did not like what you do, that's not a good thing, right? You have to change something. Yeah. So you enjoy your routine, right? And with some variability, of course, right? Yeah. So you do enjoy your routine, and sometimes you take some time off. I actually miss traveling because I travel a lot. Sometimes due to work or due to fun. Yeah. around the world. I really enjoy that, and meeting new people.
Alright, so what are some takeaways from these two interviews you just heard? From my perspective, it seems that Kenneth emphasized self-improvement, like Spencer did in the previous episode, and in particular having an impact on the art of Ju Jitsu and creating a legacy through his teaching and parenting as his framework for living a meaningful life. Kenneth also mentioned living life without regrets and pursuing goals with energy and focus. He made an interesting point about how culture isn't always a good guide for defining one's purpose and making decisions or taking action. In my judgment, Kenneth displayed overall a personality that is achievement-oriented and driven or primarily motivated by the desire to consistently improve. Another interesting perspective brought up by Kenneth was his statement that you shouldn't have just one purpose in life, and that a diversity of interests is actually great. Just be ready to pursue them with your whole being. His core values are persistence, consistency, and continuous improvement and progress. Kenneth also mentioned making an effort to incorporate compassion more as a value, and the desire to see this contribute to creating a stronger community. Lastly, he discussed his most important and specifically personal goal: to produce 50 black belts during his lifetime, as an example of the kind of contribution to the art he would like to have. What about Peter? He emphasized the importance of enjoying work life and mentioned that Ju Jitsu has been really transformative and meaningful for him. Particularly, it has been a strong outlet for him since his mother passed away. He clearly identified his purpose: to be happy and enjoy the small things from day to day, such as a good meal, good conversation, meeting people, and his personal relationships. He expressed joy and fulfillment from teaching others and having the knowledge that someone has learned and gained something from his instruction. Peter's core values are honesty, hard work, openness, directness, and expressing feelings authentically. He hypothesized that those values may come from his Greek cultural background. He made an assertion that selflessness needs to be a primary motivation in order to help others, which I believe points to the idea that helping others to succeed is his primary motivation as an individual. Peter mentioned that much of his growth has been emotional, like not getting as angry at other people and working to resolve situations better than before. He discussed some further examples of this growth and the challenges he overcame, such as coming to the US at the age of 18 years and having his father pass away as a freshman. Peter emphasized that his previous life experiences, particularly losing his father, has actually helped him now when things are overwhelming, because he knows how to deal with situations better, and he doesn't get as upset in the first place. Perhaps the fact that he was more reserved before, but has become more open while interacting with others, is another sign of the growth he has experienced that is related to these personal struggles he overcame. Today's reflection and discussion questions. Number 1. How can we embody consistent and persistent personal progress and growth, such as within our various disciplines and lifestyles? What motivates you to do this, and does it serve a purpose or a larger goal? Number 2. What kind of contribution are you seeking to make, whether it be professional, artistic, community-oriented, or in your personal relationships? Number 3. How do we enjoy the little things in life, and how can we construct a story of our life journey and personal struggles that leads to appreciation and a sense of greater maturity? I hope that you have been enjoying listening to these interviews so far, and are also taking away some insights or inspirations. Honestly, when I am looking back on these interviews and listening to them over and over again as I outline, write scripts, or edit the videos, I keep finding moments that really stick out and provide a boost of inspiration and encouragement each time, or that take on very personal and analogous meaning to the circumstances and emotions I am experiencing at this time. Now that you've heard a few interviews, I think it's time for me to do an episode that focuses more on further reflection about these interviews and exploring some topics in depth by using other sources. I'm excited and a little nervous to give it a shot, but I think it will be a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to learning from the experience and seeing your reactions and input. Alright everyone, enjoy the holidays, make it a meaningful time, and don't forget to share the love and good spirits with me over here in Croatia by conversing about these topics and giving the video a thumbs up. Go deep, go wide, be present and thrive. See you next year, my friends.